Hey everyone, it's Tara, and today I'm going to be sharing what I'm currently reading. December edition! If I had Adobe After Effects, I would definitely be shooting icicles out of my fingers, because it snowed this weekend. Okay, I'm going to pull this up on my Goodreads shelf on my Kindle. Hopefully this is updated as it should be. 11 that it says I'm currently reading. I mean, maybe. Sure, say I was reading these books at some point, but you know how sometimes you're reading a book and you have to put it down for whatever reason, getting busy with work, busy with home, busy with school, and then when you have some extra time, you pick up a different book. Maybe there should be a shelf for this. Maybe it should be like a waiting shelf or something like that instead of a currently reading. This is something I need to do. This is not something Goodreads needs to do. So right now, it says, ooh, yeah, it automatically puts my Kindle books on this currently reading thing. So right now I'm reading Rising Strong by Brene Brown. Here. This is the second book I've read of hers. I just finished Braving the Wilderness, which I will probably be talking about, spoiler alert, in my 2017 favorite reads. Brene Brown is, for those of you who don't know her, she is a social worker, research professor at the University of Houston, studies vulnerability and belonging. The book preceding this one is Daring Greatly, and I want to read that one next. Kind of going backwards in our list, I read Braving the Wilderness first, then this one, and then I'm planning to read Daring Greatly, and maybe Gift of Imperfections. I think that's her first book. But this one is about leading a brave life through things that do knock us down and helping us think about what that struggle looks like, including dealing with all of those emotions. Emotions are hard. But I think this book also identifies some great tools and strategies for us to deal with those emotions, which are very important. She describes often in this book to deal with. So I'll read the synopsis. Living a brave life is not always easy. We stumble and we fall. It is the rise from falling that Brene Brown takes as her subject in Rising Strong. Brown has listened as a range of people, from leaders in Fortune 500 companies and the military to artists, couples and long-term relationships, her own. She even talks about teachers and parents share their stories of being brave, falling, and getting back up. So she asked herself, what do these people have in common? The answer is clear. They recognize the power of emotion and they're not afraid to lean into discomfort. So that's me feeling negative emotions there. The process of regaining our footing in the midst of struggle is where our courage is tested and our values are forged. We reckon with our emotions and get curious about what we're feeling. We rumble with our stories until we get to a place of truth. And we live this process every day until it becomes a practice and creates nothing short of a revolution in our lives. So those are like the 3 steps she identifies. The rumble, first the reckon, then we rumble, and then there's a revolution, which is the rising strong piece. Rising strong after a fall is how we cultivate our wholeheartedness. This process teaches us the most about who we are. And I love this book so far. You can see all of my post-its. Yeah, I annotate a lot of my books, but I also keep a lot of post-its. So identify where those annotations are happening the most. So right now I'm on page 110. This is almost a 300-page book. I will probably finish it this week. I've been trying to read about 50 pages a day, and this book is somewhat of a quick and easy read, but I find myself rereading sections because they're so powerful. So I highly recommend this book so far. Maybe I'll do a review of it. Alright, next. So the other book I am currently reading right now that I'm really reading is Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. This is a book that actually I'm also reading in the paper version, not on Kindle. Took the dust jacket off because I am so afraid of ruining it. I'm actually borrowing this from one of my aunts who live in Wisconsin. I went to go visit them this November, and all my aunts were talking about how they had to read this book as summer reading with their child for high school that summer. So great when high schools have summer reading and when parents join in. So awesome. So I am barely even through this. I chose it as a fictional read because I often like to pair a nonfiction read with a fictional read at the same time, so I'm not stuck in one realm or another. I think I got to like page 20 or so. I haven't read Jodi Picoult before, so this is my first book of reading of hers, and I think it's a good read thus far and probably a good one for me to pick from hers. I'm only familiar with the ones that have turned into movies, and I can't even name those movies off the top of my head. Maybe one with Alec Baldwin. I don't know. But I see a little bit of a note she left to my cousin in this book. So funny. Yeah, saying that she'll pick her up after school for the orthodontist, then take her to rugby, and then don't forget to put the lemon in your salad. Can't wait to get to that page because that should be fun, and I wonder where it will like juxtapose. Anyway, another one is Developmental Editing by Scott Norton. I'm also reading this one in hardcover. I'm just gonna go over all the hardcovers or like paper versions, the printed versions first before going over the ones on my Kindle, because those are the ones on my Kindle are the ones that make it add up to 11, I think, because that's so many. I usually don't read that many books, but at the same time, you caught me at a bad moment. I am teaching myself editing skills ranging from proofreading, which is I think one of my Kindle books, to developmental editing. I am just digging into all the books that editors suggest you should read to just get to know the topic a little bit more. I've read most of this, you can tell, all those post-its. I did a bit of highlighting on this one too. This has been a pretty good read so far. I'm not the biggest fan of, so he inserts vignettes as a way to apply and generalize the skill in each chapter, but he's just a little self-indulgent. Not the biggest fan of how he writes about women in this book. I find it a little problematic, and it talks a lot about appearances of women when it's not necessary at all. That makes me a little bit uncomfortable, so I often have found myself skimming or even skipping over the vignettes to get to like the meat of the chapter. Yeah, so I think I'll be looking forward to being done with this book, but he has great resources, and he has overall good thoughts to share regarding the pedagogy of developmental editing, if that is a thing. Those are my thoughts right now. I'm almost towards the end. I have a chapter left, and then I want to go through the resources. So the last book that I'm reading on this list that is a printed book. So this is Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. She is also a professor like Brene Brown of Rising Strong, and she works at the University of Iowa. This is a series of essays, personal essays. I love them so far, so good. I'm on page 74. I'm trying to read this book as slowly as I can because there are so many great things about this book. I've been writing so many quotes from her. I know she recently released a book called Hunger. I probably will pick that one up. That's on my list after this one because I feel like after I read this book I'm gonna want some more Roxane Gay. She also has just like a really active Twitter feed. So if you haven't followed her or checked her out on Twitter, I would highly recommend that. Another booktuber often has talked about her, and I'll link him below. It's the Ink and Paper blog, and I love how much he delves into Roxane Gay. You can just tell how much he loves her. He actually inspired me to read Bad Feminist and hopefully Hunger thereafter. So those are all my printed books that I am currently reading according to Goodreads. And myself. I'm gonna hold myself accountable here. So the other ones that aren't printed are on this Kindle. This is very soft. And I'm kind of reading them, but not really. At this point, I use my Kindle primarily when I'm traveling, so I don't have to carry a bunch of big books around with me. And the Kindle allows a wide variety of books. I like to bring a book when I'm traveling that I've like currently reading. So just like in the past year, whenever I traveled, I just brought a brand new book with me, one that I hadn't read but had been on my TBR for a very long time, and I just didn't like it. It was so bad. It happened so many times that I was like, I just need to do one that I'm currently reading, and the Kindle allows that to happen. So the ones that I'm currently reading that are on my Kindle are 1984 by George Orwell. We all know that one. It's a classic. Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. The Best Marigold, Exotic Hotel by Deborah Magoch, I think that's how you say your name. Molly Willowes by Sylvia, Townsend, Warner. Kitchens of the Great Midwest by J. Ryan Stradal. And then finally, this proofreading book. So like I said earlier, I'm picking up on some editing skills. It's called The Pocket Book of Proofreading by William Critchley. And I just started that this morning. That makes all 11 books that I'm currently reading in December. So I'd love to hear what you all are currently reading right now in December and what you're thinking of them thus far. Also, like, what is your shelf system like on Goodreads? You can check out mine. I do it by genre, even by year. I'd love to hear what yours sounds like. And you can link yours down below too. I'll check it out. All right, I'll talk to you soon then. Bye!